So we're good to go?
We're good to go.
Okay. Hey, shalom, shalom. Hey, first and foremost, I want to give all praises and all the glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahamashiach, Yahweh Shai. And to the 12 tribes out there enduring in this faith and truth, I want to say greetings and salutations. So today, my name is EJ Ben Israel, and I got my brother here. I'll let him introduce himself.
My name is Radi. Shalom to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. Greetings.
Greetings. Right. So today we're going to be going into the true context of Obadiah. Okay. And we're going to be talking about that. We're going to go through verse by verse. Isaiah 28:10 says precept must be upon precept. So that's what we're going to do. And line must be upon line. And that's how we're going to bring it. So unless Roddy has anything to say, we're just going to hop right into it. All right. So the book of Obadiah, right? So the book of Obadiah, when you read the book of Obadiah, you understand that it was written during the rise of the Assyria and the Babylonians taking down Jerusalem, okay, and Israel, all of Israel. But we have different time periods when the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom actually go into that captivity. It actually also talks about the judgment of the heathens. So in 740 BC, the king of Assyria, Tiglath-Pileser, he carried away the Transjordanic tribes and the inhabitants of Galilee. Roddy, can you give me 2 Kings chapter 15, verse 29?
No problem. 2 Kings 15:29. 2 Kings 15:29. All right, so 2 Kings 15:29. In the days of Pekah, king of Israel, came Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, and took Ijon and Albemarle and Genoa and Kadesh and Hazor and Gilead and Galilee, all the land of Naphtali, and carried them captive to Assyria.
Khan, so you see that this was the northern kingdom because it was talking about Naphtali and all the kings and princes in regards to the northern kingdom, right? Let me get 1 Chronicles 5:26.
God, 1 Chronicles 5:26.
The backup 2 Kings.
1 Chronicles 5:26.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. This is 1 Chronicles 5:26. And the God of Israel stirred up the spirit of Pul, king of Assyria, and Tagasa, king of Assyria, and he carried them away, even the Reubenites and the Gadites and the half tribe of Manasseh, and brought them unto Halah and Habor and Harah into the river Gozan unto this day.
So, like I said, the inhabitants of Galilee, they were taken to Assyria. In 721 BC, Sargon II, he carried away into captivity the rest of Israel. Let me get 2 Kings 17:3.
2 Kings 17:23. All right, we go. The 2 Kings 17:23.
No. Salakia, 17:3.
Oh, 3. Salakia, 17:3. 2 Kings 17:3. Against him came Salmanasseh, king of Assyria, and Hosea became his servant and gave him presents.
Right. So they were carried into captivity, and they were placed in all the areas in Assyria, like Halah Harbor, all the surrounding areas of Assyria, right? So in 2 Kings 17:6, the cities of Samaria were then peopled with colonists from Babylon, Kutha, all those areas, etc. Right? So let me get 2 Kings 17:24, because this is how we're going to know through that. This is how things are going to get a little complicated. But let me get that.
God, this is 2 Kings 17:24. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon and from Kutha and from Abba and from Hamath and from Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel, and possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof.
Right. So through this, we know that some of the Israelites got merged into the Gentile population, right? And some of us returned under the decree of Cyrus to help rebuild the temple. And then the rest of them remained in Babylon and formed a dispersion, right? So they came to be known as the lost tribes, right? And 701 BC, Sennacherib carried away into Assyria about 200,000 captives from the surrounding Judea cities. Can I get 2 Kings 18 and 13, please?
Yep, 2 Kings 18:13. All right, this is 2 Kings 18:13. Now, in the 14th year of King Hezekiah, did Sennacherib, king of Assyria, come up against all the fenced cities of Judah and took them.
Khan. So in 597 BC and again in 586 BC, there were large deportations under Nebuchadnezzar. Let me get 2 Kings 24 and 14, Roddy. Then we're going to jump to 2 Kings 25 and 11.
You said 2 Kings 18 and 40?
24 and 14.
Oh, 24 and 14. Okay. All right, this is 2 Kings 24 and 14. And he carried away all Jerusalem and all the princes and all the mighty men of valor, even 10,000 captives, and all the craftsmen and smiths. None remained save the poor sort of the people of the land.
And then let me get 2 Kings 25 and 11.
2 Kings 25 and 11. Now the rest of the people that were left in the city and the fugitives that fell away to the king of Babylon with the remnant of the multitude did Nebuchadnezzar. Oh, I'm sorry, Slakia did. Nebuchadnezzar, the captain of the guard carried away. Slakia.
Khan, you're fine. And then let me get 2 Chronicles chapter 36 and start at verse 6.
2 Chronicles 36. Whatever.
And we're all I'm just proving right here and just backing up the historical claim of the large deportations under Nebuchadnezzar to show you not only that he didn't take everyone at the same time, there were separate time periods that he did, campaigns. So that's why we're bringing this out.
2 Chronicles 36 and 6. Like for example, Jeremiah, in Jeremiah, that was the third siege. It was
gone.
So anyway, 2 Chronicles 36 and 6. Against him came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and bound him in fetters to carry him to Babylon.
Right.
Nebuchadnezzar also carried the vessels of the house of the Lord to Babylon and put them in his temple at Babylon. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoiakim and his abominations which he did, and that which was found in him, behold, they are written in the book of kings of Israel and Judah, and Jehoiakim his son reigned in his stead. Now Jehoiakim was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 3 months and 10 days in Jerusalem, and he did that which was evil in the sight of Yahweh.
The shortest term, the shortest king's term I ever seen. 3 months.
That shit's crazy as hell. And dude was 8 years old and shit. Nigga barely had time to get off his mama's titty. But
right.
Anyway.
And Yahweh had to get him out there quick. You see that Yahweh got him out the throne quick.
Man, that's
3
crazy.
months. He ruled for 3 months. Yahweh said, "You got to go. You got to get out of here, man." Yeah, my bad. Salaki. Yeah.
This is verse 10. And when the year was expired, King Nebuchadnezzar sent and brought him to Babylon with the goodly vessels of the house of Yahweh, and made Zedekiah his brother king over Judah and Jerusalem.
Now there's a point I want to bring out, and that's and you can go, you guys at home, you guys can go into Jeremiah 40 through 43, but there was actually Jews and farmhands that were left behind, okay? So the poor, those that were tilling the ground, like those people were left behind. Why did I say that is because we understand that Nebuchadnezzar went and took everything valuable to the Lord. So everything pertaining to the temple, all the pieces, everything, the showbread, everything, all the kings, all the princes, he took them. That was the holy vessels of the Lord, also as pertaining to us. So I just wanted to bring that out.
And wait, but EJ, it says in Obadiah 1 and 17 that they shall take their possessions back.
Oh.
Well, hey, Well, we'll go ahead and get in that later, but
Right.
I go
No,
ahead. I
actually,
go ahead and keep it. Yeah.
let's not get too deep too fast for them. You know what I mean? That's why we're gonna learn how to tread water before we start swimming. Through this video, people gonna understand at the end. So,
Uh,
all right.
this is verse
So
11.
yeah,
Yeah.
no. The 10 was it. 10 was it.
Okay,
10 was
okay,
it.
fine, okay.
Yeah. So going into it, so those in the captivity, right, that were in the Babylonian captivity, they were assured by the teachings of Ezekiel, that the glory of the temple will be restored again. Okay, so the captivity was brought to a close by the decree of Cyrus in 536 BC. Let me get proof of that in Ezra EZ chapter 1, verse 2, Roddy.
This is Ezra 1 and 2. Thus saith Cyrus, king of Persia, Yahweh, God of heaven, hath given me all kingdoms of the earth, and he hath charged me to build him a house at Jerusalem, which is in Judah.
So wait a second, Roddy. So Yahweh charged who?
He charged Cyrus, king of Persia.
Oh, okay. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, which by the way is his servant. Read Isaiah 44. Anyway,
Right.
who is there among you of all his people? His God be with him, and let him go up to Jerusalem, which is in Judah, and build the house of the Lord God of Israel. He is the God which is in Jerusalem.
So Cyrus allowed everyone who was moved by the Spirit coming out of Babylon to return and help build the temple in Jerusalem. Now, and this is backed up by history and archaeological discovery. Only part of the people actually availed themselves of this permission. Okay, the rest of those that didn't go up to rebuild the temple after Babylon under the decree of Cyrus, they actually formed the dispersion. Right? So the period of the captivity had a long lasting effect upon those that stayed and those that didn't, because those that did not weren't moved by the Spirit, they left Jerusalem and they became the dispersed or the lost 10 tribes or the Parthians or the Scythians, all these whatever names, but that's who they became, right? So after that happened, well, guess what? It was actually a time of the old sin being put to sleep, right? Idolatry. People weren't praising these other gods because Yahweh kicked them out. So it was a time of great spiritual revival. Let me get proof of that in Ezekiel chapter 36 and start at verse 24, Roddy.
Ezekiel 36, 24. There we go. Ezekiel 36 and 24. For I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all countries and will bring you into your own land.
Okay, wait a second. Did that not happen under the decree of Cyrus?
Absolutely.
Did that not happen? Did not Cyrus allow, like we just read in the scripture, he allowed those from the captivity that had the Spirit within them to come and rebuild the temple in Jerusalem. So what like I don't understand what you guys are getting at with this futurism. And when it comes to these scriptures, man, we got to take things into context and we got to take it step by step. But go ahead, Roddy. Excuse me, Salakia.
Verse 25. Then I will sprinkle clean water upon you, and ye shall be clean from all your filthiness, and from all your idols will I cleanse you. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you, and I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh.
Well, you know what? That's just a cut to you old covenant guys, because you have to have a turn of heart to get out the captivity. You just don't get taken out the captivity and then you start changing. You got to change while you're in the captivity to get out the captivity.
Thank you. Daniel had a new heart. Read Daniel 9.
That's an old covenant cut right there, man.
Yeah, of course it is. And then another thing, just real quick, side note, that clean water, who's the water?
Yahweh, the word.
And I'm slacking real quick. I just want to say this real quick. I'm gonna get one quick cut, and you can go ahead and get back to it for the water. Watch this. This is John 15. This is Yahweh Shai. This is the red letters. So the same, this is Yahweh Shai. Watch this, John 15:3. Now ye are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. See, if you believe in Yahweh Shai, you are clean through his word.
There
John
we go.
15, he's the
Bring
everlasting
it out.
water. So there's your water being sprinkled on you.
There you go. Believing on Yahweh Shai is the water that makes you clean, people.
Washing the word.
Exactly. And the wash of the word. Exactly. The wash of the gospel. Exactly. Thank you. So yeah, I mean, that was it for that. The point I was getting at with Ezekiel was basically after the Babylonian captivity, there was actually a number of Psalms being written. You don't understand, but the book of Psalms is a collective work of multiple prophets. It's not just one prophet. Moses wrote Psalms. David wrote Psalms. It says it in Psalms. They even had those that came out the Babylonian captivity that wrote Psalms. So we understand that the book of Psalms, those are periods where there was deep reverence for the law, for the love of the Lord. Like that's where those Psalms are coming from. Like the humbleness, the mercy that the Lord shows you, you weak ass motherfuckers. Excuse me, sorry, Salakia. But I'm sorry, but that's just what it is, and especially the part that's dealing with ritual observance and the ritual observance of the Lord. It says in Psalm 61 that what sacrifices of the Lord is a broken and a contrite spirit. So those that want to be healed is who are going to be healed. But that's it. That's all I had. Did you have anything to add before I continue, Roddy?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, let's go into Edom and Idumea, right? So Edom and Idumea. All right, here we go. Here's the deep water, right? Now, Edom and Idumea are two related but distinct terms relating to a historically contiguous population, okay? They're two separate places and adjacent territories, but they're in the same vicinity, right? So they were occupied at different periods of their history by the Edomites / Idumeans, right? The Edomites first established a kingdom, Edom, in the southern area of modern Jordan, right? They later migrated into the southern parts of the kingdom of Judah, all right? So Idumea, okay, that's modern southern Israel, or Nagu, right? Now, when Judah was weakened and destroyed by the Babylonians in the 6th century BCE, right? Now, archaeologists and around the 14th century, they show investigation that showed that the country flourished between actually the 8th, the 13th, and the 8th century BC, and it was destroyed after a period of decline, right, in the 6th century BC by who? By the Babylonians. So after the loss of the kingdom, the Edomites were actually pushed westwards towards southern Judah by nomadic tribes coming from the east. Among them were the Nabateans. So who are the Nabateans? They first appeared in the historical annals of the 4th century BC, and they actually already established their own kingdom in what used to be Edom. So Roddy, let's find out who the Nabateans is. Can I get Genesis chapter 16, verse 12?
No problem. So Genesis what?
Chapter 16, verse 12.
Got you. Genesis 16:12. Right. Go ahead and get this word. Genesis 16:12. And he will be a wild man. Well, I'm start out. And the angel
go up a little bit. Thank you.
And the angel Yahweh said unto her, Behold, thou art with child, and shalt bear a son, and shalt call his name Ishmael.
Wait, who?
Because Ishmael.
Okay.
Because Yahweh have heard thy affliction. Verse 12. And he will be a wild man. His hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren.
Oh, wow. So literally, like, the Arabs are basically just like the wild child. Like, they just go wherever. They establish wherever there is. If there's somewhere vacant, they're going to fill in the spot. I mean, look at the hood. Look at America, right? Look at all the slums and shit. You always see an Arab somewhere posted somewhere there. They just move where they need to move to, where they need to get that money, whatever they got to do. They're opportunists, what I'm trying to get at, of what Ishmael's blessing was to be for him, right? So the reason why I brought that up is that they actually moved in, okay, They established their own kingdom in what used to be Edom by the first half of the 2nd century BC. Okay, so more even recent excavations, it shows that the process of Edomites settlement in the southern parts of the kingdom of Judah and parts of Negev, right, down to the Timahad, already started before the destruction of the kingdom, right, by Nebuchadnezzar in 587-86 BCE, both by peaceful penetration and military means. So what that means is that more than less of the Edomites basically gave it up. They was just like, man, you coming to take us over, take us. We're not going to put up no fight. That's basically what that meant by that. So when Nebuchadnezzar came through, so they were willingly put themselves into the cloth of Nebuchadnezzar and the Babylonians, right? So they took advantage of the already weakened state of Judah, because remember, we had some that had already migrated into the southern parts of the kingdom of Judah, right? So once pushed out of their territory, the Edomites, they settled in the area comprising of the southern hills of Judea down to the area north of Beersheba. Okay, so they then appeared under a Greek form of their old name as Idumeans or Idumeans, and their territory was called Idumea or Idumea, right? So, and that was a term that was actually used in the New Testament times, right? So, I mean, let me get Obadiah chapter 1, 1 through 4.
Oh, here we go. All right, Obadiah. The white man, I like the white man. Obadiah. Man.
They got, there's so many narratives on Obadiah, just like not even just with the Israelite community, but even with like my own research. There's just so many narratives from so many scholars and people that, on Obadiah. Is just like, man, like, can we get some truth here?
Amazing. The increased part is that they're all wrong. But,
exactly.
Great.
They're all wrong. You're all wrong. And that's not pride. That's just the truth.
It's what it is, the truth.
It's the truth, yeah.
This is Obadiah 1:1. Here we go. Mm-hmm. The vision of Obadiah, thus saith Yahweh concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from Yahweh, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground?
Okay, let's talk about this for a second. Let's break this down, okay? So verse 1, it says the ambassador sent among the heathen, right? So who's the ambassador sent among the heathen? Roddy, do you know? Does anyone know who? They say it's Yahweh Shai. Well, what says it's Yahweh Shai, Roddy?
No, it's actually Nebuchadnezzar.
Can we get that backed up in the scripture? You got that brought out in Daniel? Okay, let's bring that out.
Bring that out. So the messenger that's sent among the heathen, the ambassador is Nebuchadnezzar, all right, king of Babylon, and he's called a servant Yahweh, by the way. So we're gonna show that too. But anyway, Jeremiah 49 and start at verse 7.
Okay.
Concerning Edom, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, is wisdom no more in Taman, is counsel perished from the prudent, is the wisdom vanished. Flee ye, turn back, dwell deep, O inhabitants of Dedan, for I will bring the calamity of Esau upon him, the time that I will visit him. Now you cannot read Jeremiah 49 and 7 to 22 and not say this is not talking about Nebuchadnezzar, because when you read verse 28, it's after Nebuchadnezzar. It says, concerning Kedar and concerning the kingdoms of Hazar, which Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, shall smite. Thus saith Yahweh, arise ye, go up to Kedar, and spoil the men in the east. Jeremiah 47, 48, and 49 is all done with the conquest of these countries by Nebuchadnezzar. So there's your ambassador. Context. Moab, Philistines, Ammon, Esau, all the same person being conquered, which is by Nebuchadnezzar.
There we go. Okay. All right, so that Khan. So we know who the ambassador is sent among the heathen. It's Nebuchadnezzar, who was sent to destroy the nations round about them, and we have proof of that, just like the brother brought out. Go into Jeremiah 49, read 7 through 22. Okay. Now it also in 1 through 4 and 2 it talks about the explains the pride of Esau. Okay, how they go against the Most High in His judgments. Okay, how they treated Israel when it was being besieged. Now, verse 4, referring to Esau exalting themselves in Obadiah, is also told to the king of Babylon. And let me get that in Isaiah chapter 14 and start at verse 12, please.
Con. Isaiah 14 and 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of Yahweh. I sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the side to the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the side of the pit.
Con. So that proves that that's actually referring to Esau's pride and not a space station, guys. It's not a satellite.
Because Isaiah 14 and 12 is dealing with Nebuchadnezzar, and he said the exact same thing to Nebuchadnezzar as he said to Esau, that his pride was exalted so high. So that's dealing with pride, not dealing with a space station and missiles and whatever stupid shit you want to say.
Con. So let's go to verse 5, Roddy.
Con. And Salakia, actually, I just want to say this real quick. Obadiah 1, verse 1 through 4. Also read that same part, read that exact same verbiage as told to Jeremiah in 47. I forgot to read it. It's Jeremiah 47, 14 through 16. You can see that exact same verbiage being told to Jeremiah and Obadiah, proving that the timestamp context, this is talking about Nebuchadnezzar conquering Esau. So when you get a chance, read that at home, you see for yourself.
Please do. Please do. Yep.
Start verse 4.
Start at verse 5, where Obadiah 1 and 5.
If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes?
Okay, so that's talking about how thieves would just come and take what they want and go. Okay, let me get verse 6.
How are the things that Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up?
So in verse 6, this is for Esau. But for Esau, his judgments will be that everything is taken and nothing will be left. All of his treasures, his wealth, his power, all his hidden things, and whatever he has will be taken away. So that's the context of verses 5 and 6. Unless you got something to add, let me get verse 7, buddy.
God. And Slocky, I just wanted to say this too real quick. Yeah, I just want to say for Obadiah 1, verse 5 through 6, you can read that exact same thing in Jeremiah 49 and verse 17 through 18. So you can read that dealing with Esau being very desolate and destroyed and cities being uprooted, everything like that. So just read that when you get a chance.
Con.
Yep. Obadiah 1 and 7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him.
Okay, so that's talking about the nations that were confederate or together with Esau shall deceive him and will ultimately come back and destroy him. Now, first, those nations that he was in confederate with, let's see who they are. Let me get Psalms 83 and start at verse 1.
Psalms 83, Israel's favorite scripture. Psalms 83. Here we go. All right, Psalms 83. A song or a psalm of Asaph, which that also backs up EJ's point that this is not all dealing with, which is not all just dealing with King David writing a whole book of Psalms. You have people who wrote Psalms besides King David. and this is a perfect example. Psalm 83 was written by Asaph. Keep not thou silence, O Yahweh. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Yahweh. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites, and Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gabal, and Ammon, and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines, and with the inhabitants of Tyre. Asher, which is Assyria, also is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot.
Okay, so now the king of Babylon, aka Nebuchadnezzar, he had incorporated Phoenicia and former Assyrian provinces, Cilicia, southwestern Anatolia, into his empire. The Edomites with him. So when he destroyed Israel, he had all these nations roundabout with him. And let me get Jeremiah 25:9 to prove that.
I don't see America so far.
I don't see America either.
Yeah, I don't see it either. I don't see it either.
Let's keep going. But maybe it's gonna pop up somewhere.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. This is Jeremiah 25:9. Behold, I will send and take all the families of the north, saith Yahweh, and Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant, my ambassador, Obadiah 1:1, the ambassador that was sent among the heathen, and will bring them against this land and against the inhabitants thereof, and against all these nations round about, and will utterly destroy them and make them an astonishment and a hissing and a perpetual desolation.
Con. So there's your proof right there. So he is the ambassador. He is the one that had control over all these nations. Esau also made that covenant. So there you go. There's the proof of that. So let me get verse 8 and verse 9, please, in Obadiah.
Obadiah 1 and verse 8 through 9. Shall I not in that day, saith Yahweh, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau? And the mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter.
Okay, so verse 8 and 9 is just repeating itself. All of the mighty men that were wise were killed out of Edom and laid desolate. Again, this is repeated in Ezekiel 35 and in Jeremiah 49, 7 through 22. We've brought out Jeremiah 49 like 3 times already, so I suggest that you folks out there that are watching this or listening to go into the scripture and bring out Jeremiah 49 to back up the points that we're bringing out in Obadiah. Anything you want to say, Roddy?
Yeah, just real quick. I'm gonna read one scripture from Jeremiah 49 just to show that literally Obadiah is just
it's parallel. It parallels Jeremiah.
It's parallel. And let's just show this. It's Jeremiah 49 and 20. Therefore, hear the counsel of Yahweh that he have taken against Edom, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. The earth is moved at the noise of their fall, at the cry. The noise thereof was heard in the Red Sea. Behold, he shall come up and fly as the eagle, and spread his wings over Bozrah. And at that day shall the heart of the mighty men of Edom be as the heart of a woman in her pangs. Now, lock it real quick. First of all, it just said the exact same thing as Obadiah 1 and 8 verse 9 said. All the wise men out of Esau is going to be destroyed. And also it says, behold, he shall come up and fly as the eagle. Who was called the eagle in Ezekiel? Nebuchadnezzar. Against Egypt. So there's another, scripture showing you that this is someone Nebuchadnezzar, but that's it, bro.
That's why Isaiah 28 and 10 is really talking about how to tie the scriptures together. It's not just reading a line upon line, it's
Yeah.
knowing and seeing key words and how those key words are used and how they're used to describe a certain individual. We've been brought out already about the ambassador referring it to Nebuchadnezzar, the pride referring to Nebuchadnezzar. But we understand that Nebuchadnezzar had control over all the nations round about him. So when we're talking about Nebuchadnezzar, we're also talking about Esau.
Uh, because Salakia, the pride in the pride of Esau was that he thought that he was a shit, that he was great, that he had destroyed Israel with the help of Babylon. So he was prideful, and that pride was brought down. It has nothing to do with the space station. It's the same thing for all these nations. Tyre and Zidon are all proud. I mean,
Right.
it's clear. But
And
Israel.
and you know what's even more funnier than that is that you're actually giving more power to Esau ultimately than you know, because you're basically still uplifting Esau to still be this like powerful wicked
Thank
person
you.
when in reality he's not. So stop giving Esau so much credit. Like you guys are giving Esau so much credit when in reality it's not even like that.
God, that's all there is to it. All right, this is Obadiah 1:10.
Con.
For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever.
Mm-hmm.
In the day that thou should, like in the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou was one of them.
Okay, so because when Esau saw what Nebuchadnezzar was doing, when they raised the temple, Esau was saying, raise it, raise it, raise it. They were exclaiming, they were excited. They blocked our path, like I brought out in the history. We had Edomites that had migrated into the southern parts of Judea. So they were blocking our exit from escaping from Nebuchadnezzar. So you have to understand how these verses are tying together, how we're creating a picture for you, like we're putting a puzzle together. And so that's what we're trying to do. So, I mean, I hope you guys are hearkening and listening to what the brother is saying and reading in the book that we all have. Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
God, real quickly, I'm gonna read verse 12 too, and then we're gonna get into Psalm 137.
Come on.
Um, but thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother, in the day that he became a stranger, neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of the destruction, and neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. And I want to get a precept for that, because in Psalm 137, Esau, while Babylon was just destroying us, Esau was on the side just basically being damn cheerleaders and just basically just rejoicing over our destruction. And we're going to prove
Come.
that in Psalm 137. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so Psalms 137, start at verse 1. Okay, follow along, Israel. By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down. Yea, we wept when we remembered Zion. We hanged our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof. For there they that carried us away captive required of us a song, and they that wasted us required of us a mirth, saying, sing us one of the songs of Zion. Now what's funny is I've heard Israel bring this out and say, oh, it's talking about us singing on the plantations, and it's just all kinds of doctrines. But anyway, how shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? If if I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her cunning. If I do not remember thee, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. If I prefer not Jerusalem above my chief joy. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, the day of
Mm-hmm.
Jerusalem, who said,
Mm-hmm.
raise it, destroy it, even to the foundation thereof.
So the day
See
of
that?
Jerusalem is also called what? The day of the Lord. So the day
Mm.
of the Lord is something where the Most High already set in stone, this is going to happen. So the day of the calamity, the day of the destruction, the day that Nebuchadnezzar said, raise it to the ground, was already prophesied.
The day of judgment.
Come.
See that? So that's what I was dealing with. So verse 11 to 12 was dealing with Esau. Is dealing with Esau just basically helping us be destroyed when they were when Babylon came and just basically just destroyed the temple. So so I still haven't seen America any of this, but you know,
let's keep going though. Let's
yeah, hey,
hey,
we might find this.
guys, we're going through verse by verse in Obadiah.
Yes,
so at the end of this, man, if you got any comments, I swear you better have at least watched this whole video and how we went verse by verse. I understand that,
right now.
but we can only hope. So
it's all good. This is Obadiah 1:13. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in a day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity.
Keep going.
Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape. Neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress.
Give 15.
For the day of Yahweh is near upon all the heathen, as thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee, thy reward shall return upon thine own head.
Okay, so 10 through 15, right? We're going into the constant animosity from Esau against Jacob during the campaigning of the king of Babylon after acquiring the kingdoms round about him, Assyria, Edom, etc., right? Now, he started making strategic attacks against Israel. That's where the different campaigns came into play. Esau was there, and he was already there, right? Now, like we had already brought out a couple minutes ago, Esau gave themselves over willingly over to the Babylonians, okay? So they were helping our enemies and taking our spoils and even had us as slaves, right? Let me get Amos chapter 1 and start at verse 7 or 6.
Verse 6, okay. Thus saith Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Gaza. Oh, Slakia, verse 1. I gotta read this real quick. The word of Amos, who was among the herdmen of Toka, which he saw concerning Israel in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah, in the days of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Israel, 2 years before the earthquake. Hey, timestamp. It's not America. Timestamp right here in the days of the king of Israel. Okay, so there's no America in any of this. So please,
the days of Israel. We're not living in the days of Israel right now, not at all. So
it's Tahar. Tahar's the king of Israel.
Oh, right. And let me tell you something. I don't even know that guy. I don't even, man. I just see some old dude out there just spewing off. Man, no disrespect, man. I don't know you. I'm just saying, I respect you.
Man, you look at his health, Tahar. But anyway, this is Amos 1 and 6. Okay, so just timestamp of verse 1. Just pay attention now. All right, Israel. Thus saith Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Gaza, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they carried away captive the whole captivity to deliver them up to Edom. See that? You had Gaza, who are the Philistines. They had carried away us onto Esau.
And these are Canaanites. Just for those that don't know who Philistines are, we are talking about Canaanites.
And this lines up with Obadiah 1 and 14, because they had us in captivity.
All of them did. All of them did.
All of them did. All of them, bro. All of them. Let's keep reading. Let's see. Let's keep reading. But I will send a fire on the wall of Gaza, which shall devour the palaces thereof, and I will cut off the inhabitant from Ashdod, which is Philistines, and him that holdeth against the scepter of Ashkelon, and I will turn my hand against Ekron, this is the city of Philistines again, and the remnant of the Philistines shall perish. There you go, saith the Lord Yahweh. Thus saith Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Cyrus, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they delivered up the whole captivity to Edom, and remember not the brotherly covenant.
There we go.
Okay? And the brotherly covenant was hard. You can read that in 1 Kings 5. All right, but anyway, this is another
That's also a
precept.
timestamp. That's also a timestamp.
Another timestamp. There you go. And also, that shows you again that Tyrus and Zidon, these heathens, delivered us up to Esau, and they had us as slaves, all of them. But
Let me get
Esau's
one more proof. Let's just get one more to back that up. Let me get Lamentations 4:20-22.
Lamentations.
Just to back that up. Let's put a little cherry on top.
Yeah, Khan. It's Lamentations, what?
4:20-22.
Oh, Khan, it's okay. All right, here we go. Lamentations 4:20. The breath of our nostrils, the breath of our nostrils, the anointed of Yahweh was taken in the pits, of whom we said, under his shadow we shall live among the heathen. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwellest in the land of Uz. The cup also shall pass through unto thee. Thou shalt be drunken and shalt make thyself naked. The punishment of thine.
Go ahead. My bad.
The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion. He will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thy iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sins.
Come. I was just gonna bring out. Remember that cup. Remember that cup that was just remember that. Remember that cup. We gonna get back to that in a minute. But remember that. Unless you got something to add, go to 16 after you're done, Roddy.
1 second. Well, actually, yeah, no, Count. I'm good. All right, Obadiah 1:18. Obadiah 1:16.
Yeah.
It was 15. 15. Obadiah 1:15. For the day of Yahweh is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, Israel, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been.
Okay, so that's going into the judgments of Esau and all of the nations, including the same heathens that we read in Psalms 83. The same ones confederate with Esau. The king of Babylon conquered all the nations and had their land destroyed. And the kings of our nation of Israel went into captivity. Jehoiakim, the royal family, as well as Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Same thing that Amos chapter 1, verse 15 and Jeremiah 27, 1-11 talks about. So, and also in Jeremiah 46, that's judgment. That's going into that judgment. Right? You have anything to add, Roddy?
Oh, I mean, I want to read those precepts. I want to read those.
Go ahead.
I'm going to read those precepts.
Yeah, please do.
Let's start with
Salakia.
That's cool. Don't worry about it. If you know Israel, they're gonna start scoffing.
Yeah,
so
we got you. We got you. No stone left uncovered, bro. No stone left uncovered. Yep.
This is Amos 1:15. Verse 14. Start at. But I will kindle a fire in the wall of Rabbah, and it shall devour the palaces thereof, with shouting in the day of battle, with a tempest in the day of the whirlwind. And their king shall go into captivity, he and his princes together, saith Yahweh. Now, the whole chapter of Amos 1 is doing the judgments on the heathen, Gaza, Esau, etc., etc. So all these nations are going to be judged by who? Nebuchadnezzar. And we're going to show that. Let's get Jeremiah 27. Okay. This is Jeremiah 27, verse 1. In the beginning of the reign of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, the king of Judah, came this word unto unto Jeremiah from Yahweh. Timestamp again. Jehoiakim, king of Judah. Thus saith Yahweh to me, make thee bonds and yokes, and put them upon thy neck, and send them to the king of Edom, and to the king of Moab, and to the king of the Ammonites, and to the king of Tyrus, and to the king of Zidon, by the hand of the messengers which come to Jerusalem unto Zedekiah king of Judah. So you have Yahweh telling Jeremiah to tell these kings of all nations to make them yoked. Why? Let's keep reading and find out.
Right, and I just want to bring out, well, 1 second. I just want to give you guys an understanding of what the brother is reading. He is basically saying that Yahweh is declaring a judgment against these nations. So letters were written and letters are getting passed around to all these nations that are going to get judged. So he's letting them know before they get judged that you're about to be in some shit. So I just want to give you an idea of what the brother is actually reading. Go ahead, bro.
Jeremiah 27:4, and command them to say unto their masters, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the God of Israel, thus shall ye say unto your masters, I have made the earth, the man, and the beast that are upon the ground by my great power and by my outstretched arm, and have given it unto whom it seemed meet unto me. And now I have given all these lands into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant, my ambassador, and the beast of the field have I given
ambassador again.
To serve him.
Ambassador again. There you go. Guys, you guys gotta like you gotta that's how we know we don't you don't actually read page by page, because if you would just see these little keywords, ambassador, heathen, covenants, you would put 2 and 2 together, but you're listening to a man teach you. And that's how we know that you're not reading for yourself. So, because of the regurgitated bullshit you say.
And also notice how it said, I've given all these lands. What lands? The king of Edom, king of Moab, Ammonites, Tyrus, Zidon, all these lands that were once confederate with Esau are now being conquered and judged because they were messing with Israel. There's your day of the Lord upon all the heathen. Their judgment on all the heathen. So let's keep. That's good. We got it. That's the point, really.
Yeah, that's good. So what the brother's basically saying is, okay, so this declaration was set. So when you go into the Jeremiah, the 47th chapter, you're going into the judgment against the Philistines. You go into chapter 48, you're going into judgment on Moab. Chapter 49 is judgment on Ammon, including Esau and Elam. So when the other nations drunk off of our holy mountain, they plundered us. They took everything we had. So this cup of fury that we had just brought out, that I said to hold on to, okay, now we're going to bring it right back out. So that cup of fury that they had on us, that was actually the wrath of Yahweh. So Jeremiah, the 25th chapter, this is the second time we're bringing this out, but don't read everything, Roddy, but start at verse 9, the point's at 33, but this is just talking about the cup parable. That started at verse 15. So yeah. And Amos, sorry. It got brain fart.
Jeremiah 25:15. For thus saith Yahweh, God of Israel, unto me, so I can take the wine cup. Actually, matter of fact, before we do that, I'm gonna read Obadiah 1:15.
Okay, yeah. Okay. And then tie that to 25 and 15. Yep. Yeah, come. Okay.
Obadiah 1:16. Now we just got finished going through 11 through 15, so now we're on verse 16. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. So the heathen were drinking upon Yahweh's holy mountain, which is Israel.
But wait a second. They were drinking off of Israel's holy mountain, but it also states that they're going to be drinking off of what? The wrath of Yahweh. So let's just understand what we're talking about here for the folks at home, so y'all can see how we are tying things together. We're not hopping all over the place. We're not making up narrative. We're just showing you how everything ties together. They drunk off our holy mountain, so they're drinking off the cup of wrath. Continue, brother.
Sorry, my bad. Khan. So let's go ahead and get that. So we're on verse 16. Now let's go to Jeremiah 25, and we'll start at verse Start
15.
at verse 15. Con.
Uh-huh.
For thus saith Yahweh, power of Israel, unto me, take the wine cup of this fury at my hand, and cause all the nations to whom I send thee to drink it. And they shall drink and be moved and be mad because of the sword that I will send among them.
That's right.
Verse 17. Then took I the cup at the Lord's hand and made all nations to drink unto whom Yahweh had sent me, to wit, Jerusalem and the cities of Judah and the kings thereof and the princes thereof, to make them a desolation and astonishment, a hissing and a curse, as it is this day. Now we can go to verse 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23, 24, etc. All these nations, Edom, Moab, Tyrus, Zidon, Ashdod, Ashkelon, the land of Philistines, all these cities, Elam, the Medes, all these cities were and countries were basically given this cup of wrath from Yahweh to bestow upon Israel, because he made Israel desolate because of their sins. So now that cup was passed from them, from us to them. So what that's saying.
Con. So I think we have an understanding. If you start at Jeremiah 25 and 15, that cup parable, it parallels to Amos 1 and 16, and that shows you that the cup of wrath, that from them drinking off of the holy mountain, why they're getting this cup of wrath, and what that cup of wrath actually is. So for those at home, read Jeremiah 25. If you really want to get a true understanding, read from 9 to 33. Okay, so let's go into after Babylon a little bit. Okay, so after Babylon, the remnant that came back up from the captivity, they were given their possessions back to help rebuild the temple. Okay, they were, like we had already brought out in the decree of Cyrus, were given men to teach them the ways of Yahweh. Let's get some proof of that. Can I get Ezra, the first chapter, EZ? You don't have to read the whole chapter, but just get a understanding of those that had came up out the captivity and what's going on with that. So let's get the first chapter on that. And then from there, after Ezra, the first chapter, let's get first Ezra's chapter 2, verse 1.
And I'm going to do that, but I'm going to read verse 17 Obadiah just so they can understand what's going on.
Oh, yes, please.
But it's Obadiah 1 and 17. So we're past 16, now we're on 17.
Right.
But notice how we went, you good, bro. Don't worry about it. Notice how we went verse by verse. We didn't just skip to 18 and say white man's going to be destroyed, and then that's it. We went through each verse, okay? With history and context of scripture. So just man, Israel, y'all is something else. Anyway, verse 17. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions, which we did after Babylon. So you want, what is it, EJ Salakia?
I wanted first Ezra, EZ, just the first chapter, not the whole chapter, and then bump from there to first Ezra's chapter 2, verse 1.
Go to Ezra 1. I'm gonna start at verse.
I'll let you decide.
I'm gonna start at verse 2. Thus saith Cyrus, king of Persia, Yahweh, God of heaven, hath given me all the kingdoms of the earth, and have charged me to build him a house at Jerusalem, which is in Judah. And what's the house at Jerusalem? The temple, which was restored to us. Who is there among you of all his people? His God be with him, and let him go up to Jerusalem, which is in Judah, and build the house of Yahweh, God of Israel. He is the God which is in Jerusalem. And I'm going to go verse 4.
Yep. No, I was just going to say that it says it's very separative in how Yahweh is saying, because who among you? So he's not talking about the heathen, because the heathens weren't given the laws. So he's talking about Israel. So who among Israel, among you, will go up? So we understand that not all of Israel is on the same page, guys. I just want to bring that out. That's all I was bringing out. Sorry, brother.
Because, by the way, not all Israel is of Israel. So.
Roman 9 and 6. Yes, sir.
There you go. And whosoever, verse 4, and whosoever remaineth in any place where he sojourneth, let the men of his place help him with silver and with gold and with goods and with beasts, beside a freewill offering of the house of Yahweh that is in Jerusalem. So all these men that were in all these nations that were scattered because of the curses, they had came back to Israel and was restored. And each man in those lands, those kings and princes of those lands, they had to give gold and silver and offerings to those men who were going back to Israel to build a temple, which shows you that we had gotten back our spoils and our temple goods that we are taken from us from Babylon. So there is your
and there's your timestamp for us. Also, what we brought out in Ezekiel about the change of heart. This was all stuff pertaining to Babylon, guys. This isn't pertaining to like right now. Like everything written before time was written for our learning. We all know that, but we have to have context in order to understand that. So we just want to bring out that Ezekiel is talking and referencing to the Babylonian captivity. What we're reading right now in Ezra, the first chapter, is pertaining to after the Babylonian captivity. Continue, brother. I'm sorry.
bro, that's cool.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. I was gonna say that there you go. So there is Jacob restoring their possessions and taking back their possessions. And also
so this did happen. So this did happen already.
Right. That's right.
So I think are you done? Are you done, Ezra?
Yeah, I'm done with that.
Okay.
Hey, listen, Israel, read the whole chapter. Just read it. Okay, just please read. All right. We read a little bit because we know that you know y'all can't really
read that well. They can't read that well.
Hey,
we know y'all hooked on phonics, man. We know this. That's why we still love y'all. Yeah, because remember, Haggai, Zechariah, Joel, Malachi, okay, Esther, Ezra, and Nehemiah is all dealing with the return to Jerusalem. I'm going to say that again. It's all pertaining to the return of Jerusalem post-exile after the Babylonian activity. So Ezra is talking post-exile. Just want to bring that out.
That's it.
So first Ezra, you knew first Ezra, okay. Okay.
First Ezra
2.
4. Oh, what did it say?
2 and 1, and the point was 13.
I got you. First Ezra 2 and 1. Now, in the first year of Cyrus, king of the Persians, that the word of Yahweh might be accomplished that he had promised by his mouth of Jeremy, aka Jeremiah. Verse 13. Let me skip down to verse 13. Let me see. Actually, verse 13 to 15. And this was the number of them: 1,000 golden cups, and 1,000 of silver, censers of silver 29, vials of gold 30, and of silver 2,410, and 1,000 other vessels. So all the vessels of gold and silver which were carried away were 5,403 score and 9. These were brought back by Sennacherib together with them of the captivity from Babylon to Jerusalem, showing you again Jacob possessing his possessions. Okay. So there we go.
There we go.
Also, in addition, I want to give some more scriptures too, if you don't mind.
No, it's fine.
I want to give First Ezra 4, and I'm gonna start at verse 44. Again, we're still on verse 17. Notice how notice how we're giving scriptures in context and history. Okay, we went through each verse, and so far, EJ, I haven't seen America yet at all. So.
No, exactly. And I just want to also bring out so you guys understand what we're talking about. We're talking about after Babylon and the remnant that came up from the captivity under the decree of Cyrus. So this is what we're bringing out scriptures about and how we were given men to teach them the ways of Yahweh, just so you guys know. But go ahead, brother.
And we're still on Obadiah 1 and 17.
We're Jacob still on Obadiah 1 and 17.
Man. Now this is First Ezra 4 and 43. Then said he to the king, which is Zerubbabel, remember that. This is our brother Zerubbabel talking to the Persian king. I just want to say that.
The governor.
Remember thy vow which thou hast vowed to build Jerusalem, in the day when thou camest to thy kingdom, and to send away all the vessels that were taken away out of Jerusalem, which Cyrus set apart when he vowed to destroy Babylon, and to send them again thither. Now, I'm gonna read it one more time for y'all. Pay attention now. And to send away all the vessels that were taken away out of Jerusalem, which Cyrus set apart when he vowed to destroy Babylon, and to send them again thither. Now, you have the king of Persia, a heathen king, saying, I'm going to spare every single last remnant of the temple that was taken away from Jerusalem, that was now in Babylon. All the vessels, all the vessels, the gold, the silver, Cyrus promised to spare those, so that way he could send it to us again. Now, why would a heathen king care much about us? Wonder why? Because Yahweh put in his spirit to do so. Cyrus is called his servant. Okay? Cyrus is called his servant. Isaiah 45:1. All right. So this is Cyrus promising to send away the vessels from our temple that was taken from Babylon back to us during the captivity, during our post-exile captivity of Babylon. Verse 45. Now watch this. This is verse 45. Thou also hast vowed to build up the temple which the Edomites burned when Judea was made desolate by the Chaldees. There's your and also there's a reference to things book Obadiah 1 and 13 when it said that they were there you go, timestamp, when they were in the way, basically just killing us and destroying us and burning down the temple. They were there. There is your them standing in the way when we were in distress. So I want to get that context out of the way. Verse 46. And now, O Lord, the King, this is that which I require and which I desire of thee, and this is the princely liberality proceeding from thyself. I desire, therefore, that thou make good the vow, the performance whereof with thine own mouth thou hast vowed to the King of heaven, his servant, which is Cyrus. Then Darius the king stood up and kissed him, and wrote letters for him unto all the treasurers and lieutenants and captains and governors, that they should safely convey on their way both him and all those that go up with him, the remnant, to build Jerusalem. I'm going to jump down to verse 50. And that all the country which they hold should be free without tribute, and that the Edomites should give over the villages of the Jews, which then they held. See that? Once again, there's Jacob taking back our possessions from the heathen. There you go, EJ.
Con. Okay. So I mean that that's pretty much straightforward to it when it comes to it. I mean, we ain't gotta get to it, but also First Ezra's 46, 63. That'll talk that about that'll actually break that down to you too, and also First Ezra 6, 17 to 34. And let me just get Ezra, the last one, and we're going to be done on this part. But let me get Ezra chapter 7, Ezra EZ 11 through 28, chapter 7.
Want me to read all?
Yeah. I'm starting at verse 11.
Okay. Ezra 7:11. Now this is the copy of the letter that the king Xerxes gave unto Ezra the priest, the scribe, even a scribe of the word of the commandments of Yahweh and of his statutes to Israel. Xerxes, king of kings, unto Ezra the priest, a scribe of the law of the God of heaven, perfect peace, and at such a time. I made a decree that all they of the people of Israel and of his priests and Levites in my realm, which are minded of their own free will to go up to Jerusalem, go with thee. For as much as thou art sent of the king and of his 7 counselors to inquire concerning Judah.
I'm sorry. Something just poked up at me, and I had to bring it out because it just said, the brother just brought out a second ago, that the king of Cyrus has said that all those that had a free will and that were spiritually bound. So what he means by free will He does not mean like, oh, you do what you want. What he means is that all those that had a spirit inside them to seek the Lord, he's giving you an opportunity to come and rebuild the temple. That's what he's saying. So he gave us the decision. Hey, you guys over there. Hey, any of y'all that are the Israelites and want to come rebuild the temple, you can. I'm giving you. So that's what it means by that. It's not saying like, oh, we have free will. It's saying all those, he gave those that wanted to come. He wasn't like, oh, only certain Israelites can come. That's not what he was saying. All of you Israelites who are of that have that spirit, that free will to come and rebuild the temple, come rebuild it. That's what he's saying.
Khan, and also it says that our Lord called it. It says clearly that He had called the end from the beginning.
Khan.
So everything was ordained already. So it can't be no damn free will.
Khan.
But yeah. Ezra 7:14, 15, and to carry away the silver and gold which the king and his counselors have freely offered unto the God of Israel, whose habitation is in Jerusalem. Have the heathen kings given us gold and silver? Anyway, and all the silver and gold that thou canst find in all the province of Babylon, which was, anyway, Slakia, with the freewill offering of the people and of the priests, offering willingly for the house of their God, which is in Jerusalem. Once again, Jacob taking back his possessions. We're still in Obadiah 1:17. That thou mayest buy speedily with this money bullocks, rams, lambs, with their meat offerings and their drink offerings, and offer them upon the altar of the house of your God, which is in Jerusalem. And whatsoever shall seem good to thee and to thy brethren, to do with the rest of the silver and the gold, that do after the will of your power. The vessels also. God.
Well, I was just, that's pretty much it. We didn't have to go all the way in there just for the fact that it's, but you go into Ezra chapter 7, 11 through 28. We're going into where the king of Persia is telling Ezra to teach the law to the other nations and to follow Yahweh and don't disobey him. Okay. Now, Yahweh also told Zerubbabel and Israel that he would destroy the heathen in kingdoms because of the everlasting covenant he made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Let me get proof of that. And Haggai, the book of Haggai, chapter 20, start at verse 20. Chapter 2, start at verse 20 to 24, please. And Zerubbabel, he helped bring some of those up out him and Joshua helped actually bring those out the captivity. Like he brought them out, walked with them out of the captivity. And oversaw the rebuilding of the temple and the walls.
That's right. Day 9. This is the book of Haggai, chapter 2, and verse 20. And again, the word of Yahweh came unto Haggai in the 24th day of the month, saying, Speak to Zerubbabel, the governor of Judah, saying, I will shake the heavens and the earth, and I will overthrow the throne of kingdoms, and I will destroy the strength of the heathen, of the kingdoms of the heathen, and I will overthrow the chariots and those that ride in them, and the horses and their riders shall come down, every one by the sword of his brother. And that day, said Yahweh of hosts, will I take thee, Zerubbabel, my servant, the son of Shelatah, saith Yahweh, and will make thee as a signet, for I have chosen thee, said Yahweh of hosts.
So there's your proof right there, okay, that Yahweh would destroy the heathen and the nations because of the everlasting covenant, right? So let's go into Obadiah chapter 1, verse 18, please.
Here we go. You know, Israel just shaking the boots right now.
We getting there, y'all. We almost there. Let's see if we see America yet. We got like 4 verses.
Man, and mind you, we went through each scripture in Obadiah. You don't see any of these camps going to Obadiah and reading each verse and breaking it down and showing context and history in the scriptures. They don't. All they do is go to verse 18 and scream Esau the white man, and that's it.
They just want you blind following. It's blind following, blind leading at its finest.
And I hope Israel is right now these precepts and actually trying to examine the matter and see if if it's true. But you know, no one in Israel, I doubt it. You know. So,
yeah, don't hold your breath.
Yeah. So, anyway, it's all good though. Verse 18. All right, here we go. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining. Oh, there see, not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for Yahweh have spoken it. EJ.
So Salakia. I had my
Uh,
phone on mute for a second. My bad. Salakia, Israel. So verse 18, right? So that happened during the time of Maccabees. Okay. So verse 18, it talks about Esau being left stubble and devouring them. It's going into Judah Maccabees and the rise of the Hasmonean dynasty. Now, Judah's Maccabees liberated Israel from the hand of the Grecians, Antiochus Epiphanes, Judas and his brothers Simon, Jonathan, who were battle fit and ready for battle, were able to overcome the heathen and destroy the cities and had them captive as well. For context, during this time, the Greeks and the other nations profaned their sanctuary. Let's go into First Maccabees, First Maccabees chapter 1, and start at verse 16, please, Roddy. And for you guys out there, let me tell you something. I know damn well most of you people have never, ever read the Apocrypha, let alone the book of Maccabees. I know you ain't. I know you haven't. So all y'all out there that claim these Maccabean names and calling
oh
yourselves
man.
but actually read the book. Why don't you actually read it? For
God
real.
and EJ, before we go into Maccabees and explaining all that, I want to zoom in on the part of 1 to 18. Jake
Come.
is saying, wait a minute. It says there are none remaining in the house of Esau. It says no remaining. Okay, let's go into the Hebrew for that. All right.
Oh yeah,
So
Bring it out.
I'm going to share my screen. All right, now Israel, pay attention now. Okay, I'm going to explain the number remaining. I know that's the only cut I have to this, so we'll go ahead and break it down. Screen
All
share.
right.
All right, let's get it, Israel. Let's show this. Watch this.
Using Esau's technology against them. I see it.
That's what it is, Here we go. Now EJ, you seen this?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
All right, so this is Obadiah 1 to 18. So let's go into the Hebrew. Watch this. And there shall not be any remaining. It's all one word. Watch this. Go into the Hebrew. See what it means. All right. Scroll down. Ooh, wait, you see this? This is now the word here is sarid, which means survivor, remnant, that which is left, survivor, in the Strongs, alive, left, remaining, go into the lexicon, a survivor, one that escaped from a great slaughter. Man, boy, y'all just, now let's go into the root word of that root word. Let's go into the Hebrew now, all right? Our language. Here we go. This is survive, which means to escape, survive. So what this verse is really saying is this: in the house of Jacob shall be a fire, in the house of Joseph a flame, and in the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall be a remnant of the house of Esau, for Yahweh hath spoken it. Because in verse 19 it explains how we will possess the mount of Esau. Now, how can we possess them if they're all destroyed? It doesn't make sense. All right, so I just wanted to show that, just to prove once again that it's not dealing with.
They were ceased from being a nation. That didn't mean that all the people were destroyed. That just means that their place of inhabitants was left to rubble. So we have to remember that when it says their kingdoms destroyed, just like us, the temple fell in 70 AD under Titus. Did the people all get destroyed? No, because we're still here today.
Thank you.
So let's understand here. So, was that all you had?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so now that we know what it's not talking about, let's go into First Maccabees 1. First Maccabees 1 and 16 and 64 is the point. I don't want to get all the verses, of course, but for time's sake, but let's just get the point.
First Maccabees 1 and 16. All right. First Maccabees 1 and 16. Now, when the kingdom was established before Antiochus Epiphanes, he thought to reign over Egypt, that he might have dominion over two realms. Now I'm going to skip down to verse 20. And after that Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in the 143rd year and went up against Jerusalem and Israel and Jerusalem with great multitude, and entered proudly into the sanctuary, and took away the golden altar and the candlestick of light and all the vessels. Also, in verse 25, therefore there was great mourning in Israel in every place where they were. So like the princes and elders mourned, the virgins and the young men were made feeble, and the beauty of women has changed. Now this is all done with Antiochus going into the temple, into the city of Israel, and just destroying Israel, and just basically making them desolate.
So yeah, so what we're showing here is the context during this time. The Greeks and the other nations, they profaned our sanctuary. Well, they didn't profane. They profaned their sanctuary, and they desecrated our sanctuary. So that's what the brother's showing you right now.
God, I'm going to jump down to verse 64 just to get to the point.
Yep.
Actually, I'm gonna go at 54, and then I'm jump down to 64. So,
perfect.
Now the 15th day of the month, Calsu, in the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation, day 11, upon the altar, and build the idol altars throughout the cities of Judah on every side. Verse 64. And there was very great wrath upon Israel. So just showing you.
So yeah, Salaki. So the brother's showing you, he's just giving you a timestamp on what's going on in the context of what verse 18 is talking about. This is referring to the Grecians. This is referring in the time of the Maccabeans. Okay, but let's see what happens. Let me get First Maccabees and same chapter 1. Go to 52 and go to 52 to 56.
Okay. Then many of the people, this is First Maccabees 1 and 52. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone that forsook the law, and so they committed evils in the land, and drove the Israelites into secret places, even wheresoever they could flee for secure. Now the 15th.
Go ahead. No, Salaki, keep going.
Now the 15th day of the month, Calsu, in the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar, and built the idol altars, cities of Judah on every side. Real quick, that idol that was set up was Zeus. So don't say that. And burnt.
Oh, that's a good point. Good point. Oh, that's a good point.
Thank you, Salak. Thank you. Verse 5. And burnt incense at the doors of their houses and in the streets. And when they have rent in pieces the books of the law which they found, they burnt them with fire.
So Apollonius gathered the Gentiles together. Okay, so the Seleucid Empire, which was the Persian kingdom of the Macedonian dynasty of the Seleucids. Okay, dynasty. So their rule began with the collapse of Alexander's empire and faded away between the Roman and Parthians' growth of power in the 1st century BCE. So what the brother's showing you, this is post the Maccabeans. Okay, so one of Alexander the Greek's former favorite companions was given Babylon as the capital of the Seleucid division of the empire in 321 BCE. Okay, so when he was forced to flee to Egypt under the pressure of Antigonus. Okay, so let me get Second Maccabees chapter 5, verse 1 through 3, and then jump to verse 65, please.
You said
Second Maccabees chapter 5, verse 1 through 3, and then jump to verse 65.
Second Maccabees 5 don't have I think you mean First Maccabees. First Maccabees. You
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, perfect. Yeah. So, see, my I be writing them a little wrong. My bad.
That's cool.
Yeah.
First Maccabees 5. Now, when the nations round about heard that the altar was built, and now we're doing verse 18. Okay.
Right.
Now, when the nations round about heard that the altar was built, and the sanctuary renewed as before, it displeased them very much. Wherefore they thought to destroy the generation of Jacob that was among them, and thereupon they began to slay and destroy the people. Then Judas fought against the children of Esau and Idumea at Arabatine, because they besieged Israel, and he gave them a great overthrow and abated their courage and took their spoils.
Con,
Jump down to verse 65.
please.
Afterward, when Judas forth, afterward when Judas, afterward went Judas forth with his brethren and fought against the children of Esau in the land toward the south, where he smote Hebron and the towns thereof, and pulled down the fortress of it, and burned the towers thereof round about it.
Okay, there's this timestamp right there. There's a tie right there of Esau being left to stubble in verse 18. There's your timestamp. When did this take place? Now we have provided the scripture to back that up. So verse 18 is referencing First Maccabees chapter 5, 1 to 3, 65 the point. There you go. We fought against the children of Esau and we won, and then we burnt their towers. And just further proof on that, let me get Second Maccabees chapter 10, 15 through 17, please.
Um, Second Maccabees 10, verse 15 to 17. And therewithal the Idumeans, having gotten into their hands the most commonest holds, kept the Jews occupied, and receiving those that were banished from Jerusalem, they went about to nourish war. Then they that were with Maccabeus made supplication and besought Yahweh that he would be their helper, and so they ran with violence upon the strongholds of the Idumeans, and assaulting them strongly, they won the holds and kept off all that fought upon the wall, and slew all that fell into their hands, and killed no fewer than 20,000.
So you see here, Yahweh was with us. Esau was left stubble. We bested them and war in every aspect of the way. So there's your timestamp to verse 18. Verse 18 is referencing to the Maccabean Hasmonean dynasty when Judas Maccabeus rose up and liberated that little sect of Israel. And unless you got something else to bring forth, Brother Roddy, we can go ahead and go into Obadiah 1 and 19 through 20.
I do want to say real quickly that y'all need to read the Maccabees. There are so many battles that takes place in this book, and it's all done with the conquering of all these nations. Esau, Ishmael, all these Ammon, Moab, all these nations were conquered under the time of Maccabees. There's so many battles. I mean, there's so many battles that we can go to. I mean, it's just so many battles. So y'all need to really just take a step back and read Maccabees. Just read, man. For real. Like, we're giving you the few scriptures for time's sake, but go ahead and read Maccabees. It's going to show you that we conquered all these nations and had them as slaves too. Read up on
amazing. It's amazing. Like the things that we accomplished under the Hasmonean dynasty is amazing. And you know, a lot of you guys' futuristic talk and pertaining to the scriptures and Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and Obadiah, you wouldn't be saying that because the Maccabees, they were the shit. They did a lot of good shit for us. So
and I mean, and really, y'all are basically just saying that our forefathers didn't do shit. So y'all really just saying that because we had so many things going for us, and y'all just say, "Nah, it's all talking about America." Like, no, you can't say that. So just read Maccabees, read all these battles, and just just understand. But anyway, Obadiah 1:19. So we're gonna go into all of this. And they of the south shall possess the mount of Esau, which we just read when we took all these cities of Esau and conquered them and took them as slaves and the spoils. There's your possessing the mount of Esau. All right. And they of the plain, the Philistines, and they shall possess the fields of Ephraim and the fields of Samaria, and Benjamin shall possess Gilead.
So these verses are going into the context of when Israel will possess the plain of the Philistines. That was also fulfilled during the time of Maccabees, after they destroyed the Idumeans. Let's get some proof of that real quick. Let me get First Maccabees chapter 5, verse 15. 36 is the point. And then we're going to jump to 65 through 68. And we already brought this out, but.
Come on. And watch this. This is First Maccabees 5:15. And they said they of Ptolemy, Greeks, and of Tyrus and Sidon. Wait, is that Ptolemy? That's Greek, right? That's the Greek Ptolemy. He's the Greek. Con, to make sure. And of Tyrus and Sidon, Canaanites, and all Galilee of the Gentiles are assembled together against us to consume us. Now, notice how it said in verse 19, it says Benjamin shall possess Gilead. Just keep in mind on that. All right, watch this. Now, when Judas and the people heard these words, they assembled a great congregation together to consult what they should do for their brethren that were in trouble and assaulted of them. Then said Judas unto Simon his brother, choose thee out men and go and deliver thy brethren that are in Galilee, for I and Jonathan my brother will go into the country of Gilead, which is Gilead, yeah, which is in verse 19 of Obadiah. Benjamin shall possess Gilead. Now watch
There
this.
we go.
There you go. Watch this. God, context, bro. Context. So he left Joseph, the son of Zacharias and Azarias, captains of the people, with the remnant of the host in Judea to keep it, unto whom he gave commandment, saying, take ye the charge of this people, and see that ye make not war against the heathen until the time that we come again. Now unto Simon were given 3,000 men to go into Galilee, and unto Judas 8,000 men for the country of Gilead. Then went Simon into Galilee, where he fought many battles with the heathen, and so that the heathen were discomfited by him. Verse 22. And he pursued them unto the gate of Ptolemy, and there were slain of the heathen about 3,000 men, whose spoils he took. And those that were in Galilee and Arabitus with their wives and their children and all that they had took he away with him and brought them into Judea with great joy. So here you see Simon going to Galilee and rescuing all his brethren that were trapped by the heathen. And they conquered, and he conquered those heathen that were there. There's your Tyre and Sidon being conquered and all the Gentiles, etc., etc. Now I'm gonna keep jumping down because we're going to go into Gilead next. Judas Maccabees and his brother Jonathan went over Jordan and traveled 3 days into the wilderness, where they met with the Nabathites, there you go, who came unto them in a peaceable manner and told them everything that had happened to their brethren in the land of Gilead, aka Gilead, and how that many of them were shut up in Besor and Alima and Casphor, Make and Carnim. All these cities are strong and great, and that they were shut up in the rest of the cities of the country of Gilead, aka Gilead. Now, for time's sake, we're gonna jump down to the points. All right, so watch this. Hereupon Judas and his host, this is verse 28. Hereupon Judas and his host turned suddenly. Hereupon Judas and his host turned suddenly by the way of the wilderness onto Besor, which is Besor was a city of Gilead. And when he had won the city, he slew all the males with the edge of the sword and took all the spoils and burned the city with fire. There's your first city of Gilead being possessed. Now let's keep reading down. Watch this. Let's see. Let's jump down to verse 35. This done, Judas turned aside to Maspha, which in verse 26 was a city of Gilead. Salakia. Hold on. Yeah, Salakia. Okay. Verse 35. This done, Judas turned aside to Maspha, and after he had assaulted it, he took it and slew all the males thereof, and received the spoils thereof, and burnt it with fire. From thence he took Casphron, Meg, Besor, and the other cities of the country of Gilead, aka Gilead. There is your Benjamin shall possess Gilead. They took the entire country of Gilead. So there's your Gilead being possessed.
Con.
Con.
I mean, hey, Roddy, I can just only hope that these brothers took some time, and I hope that you guys out there that are listening, you guys go back and take the time, and if you're actually hearkening to what the brother is saying, and take some notes, because this is a lot, brother. You know, this is a lot for him. So what we're talking about is the entire first Maccabees and fifth chapter is explaining the lands being conquered and taken. The same that we just brought out in Obadiah 1 and 19. Okay. And a side note, these battles were already prophesied during the book of Zechariah, which is written when? After, okay, uh, um, the Babylonian captivity. And just for time's sake, let's just get Zechariah chapter 12, 1 through 9, and this 9 is the point. And then let's just get that for right now.
We still gotta explain the Philistines in Samaria.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Go ahead, tackle that.
I want to get that. It's cool. Don't worry about it. You know Israel. They about
we got you. We got you.
You got to. It's cool. We're gonna get into it. So now the next part of Obadiah 1:19, we explained Benjamin possessing Gilead and them having Esau in captivity. Now let's explain them having the plain of the Philistines. Watch this. First Maccabees 5, and let's go to verse 66. From thence he removed to go into the land of the Philistines and passed through Samaria. And at that time, certain priests desirous to show their valor were slain in battle, for that they went out to fight unadvisedly. So Judas turned to Azotus and the land of the Philistines, and when he had pulled down their altars and burned their carved images with fire and spoiled their cities, he returned into the land of Judea. So there is your Philistines being possessed. Now also, EJ, I want to show something else too, because you're gonna get more further into the Philistines. Watch this. It says First Maccabees 11 and 59 through 62. Watch this. His brother Simon also he made captain from the place called the ladder of Tyrus unto the borders of Egypt. Then Jonathan went forth and passed through the cities beyond the water, and all the forces of Syria gathered themselves unto him for to help him. And when he came to Ascalon, there the city met him honorably. Now, Ascalon is Greek for Ashkelon, which is a city of the Philistines.
Thank you.
So they took that city. From whence he went to Gaza, a city of the Philistines, but they of Gaza shut him out. Wherefore he laid siege unto it and burnt the suburbs thereof with fire and spoiled them. Afterward, they of Gaza made supplication with Jonathan. He made peace with them and took the sons of their chief men for hostages and sent them to Jerusalem and passed through the country up to Damascus. There is your, once again, Judas Maccabees possessing the Philistines. Timestamp. Now watch this too. We got more as well. Let's go to let's figure out. Let's go to First Maccabees 13, 43. Now again, they're taking more cities of the Philistines. In those days, Simon camped against Gaza and besieged it round about. He made also an engine of war and set it by a city and battered a certain tower and took it. And they
sorry, Salakia, I just want to bring out, because I do study history. Engine of war is referencing to, like, when you see like Lord of the Rings and you see how like they have like a giant wolf, like in the Lord of the Rings or Return of the King, you see there's a part at the end where they have like a giant cauldron metal wolf, right? And they use that to actually knock down the walls to the city that's protecting it. So we understand that an engine of war is like the Trojan horse. It's like their trademark, like that, like when you see them, that is them. You know what I mean? Sorry, Salaki, I just want to bring that up.
That's cool, bro. Don't worry about it. First Maccabees 14 and 43, just dealing with Gaza and the city of the Philistines. Verse 45. insomuch as the people of the city rent their clothes and climbed upon the walls with their wives and children and cried with a loud voice, beseeching Simon to grant them peace. And they said, deal not with us according to our wickedness, but according to thy mercy. So Simon was appeased toward them and fought no more against them, but put them out of the city and cleansed the houses wherein the idols were, and so entered into with songs and thanksgiving. There's your once again, Simon having the Philistines. Now there are way more scriptures that I can pull out right now doing the Philistines. There's so many. We have First Maccabees 14 and verse 4 through 7. We have First Maccabees 14, verse 34 to 37. We got so many other precepts for Philistines, but just for time's sake,
Zechariah 10 and 2 actually it talks about that a little bit too.
Exactly. Con. So there is your Philistines being possessed. Read Maccabees, they have possessed them. So now let's deal with Ephraim. It says the field of Samaria and field of Ephraim. Let's deal with that. First Maccabees 5. Let's get to that. So I have to show the Philistines,
Please do.
Let's see. Let me see 1 second, bro. All right, here we go. Samaria. No, let's deal with Ephraim first. Deal with Ephraim. All right, First Maccabees 5 and 46. Okay. So now we're still mind you, we're still on Obadiah 1 and 18. I mean 19.
19,
right?
yeah.
19. So now we're done with Israel possessing the fields of Ephraim. Verse 46. Now when they came to Ephron, which is Greek for Ephraim, this was a great city in the way as they should go, very well fortified. They could not turn from it, either on the right hand or the left, but must need pass through the midst of it. Then they of the city shut them out and stopped up the gates with stones, whereupon Judas sent unto them in peaceable manner, saying, let us pass through your land to go into our own country, and none shall do you any hurt. We will only pass through on foot, howbeit they will not open unto him. So what happened? Verse 49. Wherefore Judas commanded a proclamation to be made throughout the host, that every man should pitch his tent in the place where he was. So the soldiers pitched and assaulted the city all that day and all that night, till at the length the city was delivered into his hands, who then slew all the males with the edge of the sword, and razed the city, and took the spoils thereof, and passed through the city over them that were slain. So there is your Israel possessing the fields of Ephraim. Okay. Slovakia. And then let's deal with Samaria. That's and foremost. First Maccabees 5 and 66. Now, mind you, EJ, we're still on verse 19. Where is America at? I haven't seen any of that stuff here yet. I haven't seen America nowhere.
I ain't seen America not one time.
Shit. We'll see. We still have 2 more verses, son. We'll see. It says First Maccabees 5 and 66. First Maccabees 5 and 66. Dealing with us possessing the fields of Samaria. From thence he removed to go into the land of the Philistines and pass through Samaria, because we had those cities conquered, including Samaria. There's your us having Samaria and Gilead and Ephraim and the Philistines and Mount of Esau, us having those as possessions. We clearly show through the precepts, all right? Verse 20, right? We're going verse 20 now?
Yes.
Now watch this. It says, and in the captivity of this host of the children of Israel shall possess that of the Canaanites, even unto Zaphrad, and the captivity of Jerusalem, which is in Zaphrad, shall possess the cities of the south. Now, let's deal with this real quick. EJ, you got it, or you good, or do you want me to get it?
No, get it.
Got Con. All right, watch this. I don't want to overtalk. Let me see. All right, here we go. So let's deal with this. So Canaanites, even unto Zaphrad. Now Tyrus and Zidon is near the cities. Tyrus and Zidon are Canaanite cities and Philistines as well, but mostly Canaanite. So let's deal with that. Let's deal with us having possession of the Canaanites. Let's go to First Maccabees.
Bring it out.
Bring it out. First Maccabees 11. Should I find it so I can. 1 second, bro. 1 second. Find that real quick.
While the brother's getting that, I just, for you guys out there listening, those tuning in, those that are going to tune in, man, I just hope that you guys, before you even have a comment to put on the comment board, that you have examined the whole matter. Please.
Man, please, they won't.
Please.
They won't.
You guys' comments are retarded. Facebook is just retarded.
God. I got it. Ready?
Yes.
God, watch this. Now, it says in verse 20, in the captivity of this host, the children of Israel shall possess that of the Canaanites, even unto Zaphrath. Watch this. Now, this is First Maccabees 11 and 59. No, I'm starting with 57. At that time, young Antiochus, the son of Epiphanes, wrote unto Jonathan, saying, I confirm thee in the high priesthood and appoint thee ruler over the four governments, and to be one of the king's friends. Unto this he sent him golden vessels to be served in, and gave him leave to drink in gold, and to be clothed in purple, and to wear a golden buckle. Now, so like a side point, Israel is having all these heathens blessing them and giving them all these lands. So how are we not dwelling safely during that time? But anyway, first Maccabees 11:59. Watch this. His brother Simon also he made captain from the place called the ladder of Tyrus onto the borders of Egypt. Now it says in verse 20, they shall possess that of the Canaanites. From the ladder of Tyrus onto the borders of Egypt, all those cities between Tyrus and Egypt, those are mostly Canaanite and Philistine cities. So there is your Israel possessing those are the Canaanites. So that's verse 20. We go now, or you got something else?
I'm good. I feel you didn't kind of put a fork in it on that aspect on it, and I can only hope that they are hearkening to what you're saying.
Now we got one more verse and then we good.
Okay.
Obadiah 1:21. And saviors shall come up on the Mount Zion to judge the Mount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be Yahweh's.
Okay, so the kingdom was possessed by the Maccabeans. What the brother is showing you with the verses that were already brought out, thus Yahweh's kingdom was reestablished, and 2 Mac 15 proves that. Okay, so that's what the brother is trying to show you. He's trying to show you that the kingdom was reestablished under the Hasmonean dynasty. Thus, those prophecies that were talked about in Zechariah, Salakia, and Nehemiah, Zechariah, Haggai was fulfilled.
And to prove that, let's get 2 Maccabees 2.
Please,
Salakia.
There we go.
2 Maccabees 2.
Yep.
Go ahead, bro.
No, you good. No, I was just agreeing with you. You on it.
Oh, con.
Yeah. No, you on it. No.
2 Maccabees 2 and verse 17. Now, mind you, when you read the second chapter, just real quick, when you read the second chapter, these Israelites that are writing the book of Maccabees, they are already dwelling safely by this time. When you read this whole entire book, this is just them. This is just them recalling what happened before this time. Okay, so just know that, understand that. So when you read, I'm gonna read this to you. They were already dwelling safely in the kingdom. They had the kingdom. They were just recounting what happened to them during that time.
A good idea for y'all out there when you read, put yourself in a time machine and in order for you to understand what's going on in the world today, you got to understand what the world was going on back in that day, so you have an understanding. Because as it's said, and from the brother has already brought out, everything written, the end was written in the beginning. So Yahweh works off of the same type of movements
Thank you.
every single time. So once you can establish and understand his movements, thus you will understand the context of the scripture that much better. Go ahead.
Second Maccabees 2 and verse 19, no, verse 17. We hope also that Yahweh that delivered all his people and gave them all in heritage and the kingdom and the priesthood and the sanctuary, as he promised in the law, will shortly have mercy on us and gather us together out of every land under heaven into the holy place. For he has the past tense, for he has delivered us out of great troubles and have purified the place. Now, as concerning Judas Maccabees and his brethren, and the purification of the great temple, and the dedication of the altar, and the war against Antiochus Epiphanes and Eupator his son, and the manifest signs that came from heaven unto those that behaved themselves manfully to their honor of Judaism, so that being but a few, they overcame the whole country and chased barbarous multitudes, and recovered again the temple, renowned all the world over, and freed the city, and upheld the laws which were going down. And the Lord being gracious unto them with all favor. There is them having the kingdom, the priesthood, and the sanctuary, the heritage, and they were dwelling safely in the land of Israel. And
Everything
saviors.
Con.
Go ahead,
Sorry. No. Finish your thought.
I was going to say, and the saviors, who were they? I mean, obviously Yahweh, but who else on earth? Judas, Maccabees, and Maccabean family,
Exactly.
Judas, Simon, Jonathan, and all those men that were fighting with Judas. They were all saviors too.
Con. Come on, guys. Let's get everything in the context. Will you see how we done put this puzzle together from the beginning? You see how we pieced it piece by piece. We built this building up to give you guys an understanding of what the context of what the scripture is actually saying, not just off of what some man is thinking or hoping or wishing it will be. Let's see what it actually is.
In Egypt, I'm gonna get one more scripture that's gonna just put everything to bed. Watch this. I mean, obviously we did already. I mean, not us, Yahweh did, but we gonna just
put a cherry on top. Let's do it.
Cherry on top. Mm-hmm. This is First Maccabees 14. Y'all gotta read Maccabees for real. Read Maccabees, please. Anyway, First Maccabees 14 and 4. As for the land of Judah, that was quiet all the days of Simon, for he sought the good of his nation in such wise as that evermore his authority and honor pleased them well. And as he was honorable in all his acts, so in this that he took Jaffe for a haven and made an entrance to the isles of the sea, and enlarged the bounds of his nation and recovered the country. Now, what does it mean to enlarge the bounds of your nation? That means that you are increasing how far your land goes. So they were conquering all these cities and lands, and they were adding onto their possessions. Verse 7, and gathered together a great number of captives, and had dominion of Gazara and Bethsura in the tower, out of which he took all uncleanliness, neither was there any that resisted him. And Jonathan is a savior, is he not? Then did they till the ground in peace, and the earth gave her increase, and the trees of the field their fruit. Now wait a minute. It says the earth gave her increase, and the trees of the field their fruit. Isn't that the blessings?
That's right.
Now, so wait a minute though, but according to One West, they say that we never had blessings on us in our history.
Goddamn lie. You are
there we go.
Goddamn lie.
Goddamn lie. Anyway, this is man. That's crazy. Verse 9. The ancient men sat all in the streets, communing together of good things, and the young men put on glorious and white apparel. He had provided victuals for the cities and set in them all manner of munition. So his honorable name was renowned unto the end of the world. So all nations knew that Jonathan was an honorable man. And why was he an honorable man? Because Yahweh was with him. So they all knew that Yahweh was one king, and they had saved Israel. All nations knew that, including the heathen. So you can't get around that. He made peace in the land, and Israel rejoiced with great joy. For every man sat under his vine and his fig tree, and there was none to fray them. Neither was there any left in the land to fight against them. Yea, those kings themselves were overthrown in those days. See that? So Jonathan and the Maccabees, they destroyed all the nations, and there were no kings left to oppose them. There is your dwelling safely. And we just read in Second Maccabees 2, they had the kingdom, the priesthood, and the sanctuary restored to them. So there is Obadiah 1.
When you go, go on Google and type in the Hasmonean dynasty and see who was the Hasmonean dynasty. That was the Maccabeans. So obviously there was the dynasty that was established. So there was a time of peace. I believe it was 113 years that the Hasmonean dynasty actually reigned until the Greco-Roman era. The Grecians came in, and then you go into the Herod dynasty. You go into the So, there's a lot of really good history that you could look up just looking into the Hasmonean dynasty, because that is talking about the time of the Maccabeans. So, that's just for you guys out there. Do some research into it. You'll find some cool, good little nuggets out there, man. And that also just shows of what the context of Obadiah, Nehemiah, Zechariah, Haggai, that's letting you know what it's talking about. You got a lot of post-exile verses that are coming out. So so I hope you guys are listening to what the brother's saying.
And I mean, that's it. I mean, we done, Israel. We went through all 21 verses, and we clearly showed with scriptures and context and history, not just talking out of our ass.
But let's get. I got two more verses that I just want to bring out in regards to Yahweh Shai, because you understand that nothing is done by partiality. Okay, so do you have 1 Timothy 5:21 offhand? And then from there,
right now.
All right, and then from there go to James 2:9 after.
1 Timothy 5:20. 1 Timothy 5:21.
21.
God. 1 Timothy 5:21. I charge thee before Yahweh and the Lord Yahweh Shai and the elect angels that thou observe these things without preferring one before another, doing nothing by partiality.
Right. So nothing is done by partiality. And let me get James 2:9, please. So when it comes to you guys doing this Bible and researching these topics, you can't be, number one, you can't be biased in the history, because the history is not biased. The history is just what the history states it is. It is what it is, as they say. So there's no partiality when it's done with this. But let me back that up with James 2:9 though.
James 2. Here we go. James 2:9. But if ye respect to persons, ye commit sin and are convinced of the law as transgressors.
Right. So that's where it's going. Like, if you deal with the scripture, if you deal with people and partiality or in biasness, then you are committing a heresy. You're committing a transgression. So everything has to be done in a spiritual sense. It cannot be done in a carnal sense. And that's what that's what Yahweh Shai preached. That's what we're showing you. That's what the history says. And so those out there that are listening, man, I hope you're hearkening to what's being said.
And remember, we are under the new covenant. New covenant. Okay? So hey, we are new covenant Israelites. Hey, John 14:26. For the comfort I shall teach you all things. If you want him to do that. If you want men to teach you, if you want to just listen to what the men say, go ahead and do it. But me, my bro EJ, and other brothers like us, we don't give a fuck about men. Fuck men. Fuck us too. So it's all about Yahweh Shai.
Yep.
It's all about Yahweh Shai, bro. All about Yahweh Shai.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it. And like a quick shout out. Shout out to my brothers in ITR. Shalom.
Okay. All right now.
Hey, shalom to y'all. Shalom.
Yep. Hey.
Shalom
Yep. Hey, big wom to the Good Samaritans. Good wom to the FTW out there, man. Hey, good wom to all the brothers in the New Covenant Israelites, man, that understand and are reading and promoting scholarship. I just want to give you guys, man, a big, high five, a big, brotherly hug from afar, man. Thank you for holding down and providing the pieces that we need to help teach these people, man. So thank you.
And I'm good. I'm done here.
All right, man. I think we hit him where it hurts. So, man, you guys out there preaching Obadiah and saying that is something that hasn't happened yet. I hope you guys put a cap in it, because you're gonna have to you're gonna have to defend all that in the eyes of the Father, not in the eyes of men. So just because you're getting likes, just because you're getting people that agree with you, it does not mean that you're right. So I mean, that's all I got.
Khan, Shalom, Israel, Shalom.
All right, yeah, man. Hey, Wam.